Good morning and welcome to the Early Bird. And just before we start, we've upgraded our charting program, and it means now that you can save objects to chart. So when you're drawing things on a chart such as this and trend lines and so forth, you can save all these to a file now. So you just go to, this should download automatically when you open your program next time. So you just go to save chart file and save it wherever you'd like to save it. You might like to save one chart as a weekly file or a daily chart and so forth. So you can just label them differently and save them. And then to open them, you can open them from here. When you save the charts, they'll be in a file, so you can email those files around to each other, and eventually I'll be doing the same as well. So all the work that I do in my charts, as I build them and I can save them now, I'll be able to place them somewhere so you can download them and load them straight into your charting program, or probably even do it through the charting program. So that should automatically update when you download your program next time. So all good there. Now, getting back to things here, let's come back over here. Just wanted to have a look at the daily charts today again here in terms of US and Asian markets. So this is the S&P 500 here. So the Dow Jones would be the same as well in terms of patterns and so forth. So essentially what we're looking at here is we've had this run up through here in 5 waves. So we would be looking at, you'd see this on our intraday chart. So essentially we're looking for 5 waves there. After 5 waves completed, and we're looking at the last 5 waves moving up through here, we would be looking at a counter trend. So we'd be looking at a counter trend as such, like this here. So once this is complete, then we'll be looking for another move up as such. So we need to, our ASX 200 market is being pulled by China and is also being pulled by the US as well. So you got to kind of see how these sort of work together a little bit. So last night, over the last 2 nights, we were looking for this move to come down through here. I haven't updated this, but it's come down to the 1350 there. So midpoint there. So this first leg here, this A wave here, is in 5 waves, so that will look like that, and you'll see that on the intraday charts, and we'll talk about that when we get there. So we're looking at that, and on the close we've started the B wave back up through here, so we'll look at this B wave back up through there, and then once that's complete there, then we should see another 5 waves down there completing this this 3-wave structure here, as I just pointed out, this ABC structure here. So once that's complete, we can move up. So with the Asian markets, they've been moving down already, and we'll have a look at a variety of those. But I know that we're close. I know that we're close down here with them. I thought we may have had it here, but it looks like we've got this to go here. So when we look at the Asian markets here, we'll start, just bear with me a second, just bring this in so I can see it. Right, the Shanghai market, for instance, I thought that yesterday we were talking about having 5 waves completing down to looking for the low of this one here, and we'll talk about that yesterday. So I'm not sure if we've got it here, or we're going to be getting this move up here, like we're going to get in the Dow, so to speak. Yep, up to here, and then another small 5-wave structure down through here somewhere, and then move up from that point there. It's either that, or we're moving up from here. So it's just that's why we haven't really put out any long trades late last week and this week, because of this situation. We're trying to find the low here before we go long, which makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, that's why we look at, that's what the early bird is about, is to try and find the general sentiment and direction to trade the local market. So, and this is reflected through as well in excuse me, in the Hang Seng as well. So we were looking at this late last week as well, I think. So essentially, or the bigger picture here is this. So we've had this, what we call this third wave up through here, then an A wave and a B wave and a C wave down to here. Sure, that could be labelled differently. Point being is it is a corrective pattern, and you could label it a different way, but it doesn't really matter that much. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at this strong move moving up through here, and that would be in 5 waves. So then we'll be looking at an ABC correction as such here, and that's what's unfolding here as well. So when we're looking at this here, we would be looking at that there, that in there, and obviously this one here, possibly moving down to the 34 area here. Sure, it can be a flat correction in terms of like the retracement back up here, coming back 61.8, or flat up here, or even up to here, so, or back down to here. So the Hang Seng's a little bit tricky to work out the wave counts at times, because it does jump around a bit. But once again, we're looking for this to complete down here and then move back up from there. So the 23,800 here, you know, we'd want support on that, and the 2,400 here, nice big whole numbers that you can work support off. So we're basically waiting for this correction to finish. And this also brings us back into our local market as well. So when we're looking at the XJO, for instance, you can see once again it's the same sort of pattern. Of course, this is not anything new to you, but it's just sorting this out a bit. Just bear with me a sec. I just want to stretch this out this way. That's what I want to do, because I have a closer look at this here. Okay, so once again, you can see that we were looking for 5 waves up here, and then we're looking for our A wave, our B wave, and our C wave. Now, we thought it may have held at the 4,800 here. That's not the case, so we're concerned about this little gap here. That will probably get filled today. So we're looking anywhere in here for support, and sort of anywhere between the 50 and 60% retracement level within here. So obviously the largest number is 4,700, and then obviously the 4,750, the 4,420, the 4,750, and the 4,772 there as well. So we're still just searching for this low here, and what we're looking for is we want support back up on the 4,800 there before we can go long in a general sense on our market. So we're still searching for that. I know it's been like a few days, but we just really have to wait for it. And it's tricky really, because yes, we do have some shorts out there, and we can short today if this comes down here further. That's nice, and it probably will over the next days, because the Dow Jones needs to do its little bit as well. So it's a bit of a rock and a hard place really, because if we do put shorts out, then we can get trapped here before we're going long again. That's the problem there. I'll just check on the volume situation as well, actually, while we're here. Just using the average volume there, so that's 102 to the downside. Normally, if you're going to take this high out just here by a move coming up through here, you'd want to have at least 25% more volume in your bar there. So we don't really have that. We have 107 to here. Up here, this is the volume divided by the days, so it enables you to look at trends in that way. But we didn't have excessive volume in this trend here, at least, you know, a good 20% more to take out this top here. It just wasn't there. But what does interest me at this point, if this is 107 to here, then the retracement back here is 90 here. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing 107 in here, and we're seeing 91 in here. So what we're actually seeing here in reality is we're seeing more volume in the uptrend and less in the downtrend. So this is in line with a corrective pattern. So we want less volume in the correction there, and that makes it a volume. If we had more volume here in this correction here coming down than we did here, then we would have a downtrend because the volume would confirm the price action. So we do have a correction. It's just a matter of finding the low here coming in at this point here. So in this wave here, this C wave, would be looking at 5 waves for that. So it's pretty much sort of done and dusted in the SPY really when we have a look at that. So in the SPY here, this is the A, the B, and the C correction that we're just talking about. And this C wave here should have 5 waves in it. And it's not rocket science here. It can be a bit tricky, but it's down for 1, back for 2. And then the third wave is always the longest and strongest, and it's got 5 waves in. So that would bring us down to here. And those 5 waves are down for 1, back for 2, down for 3. And the third wave is always the most powerful wave in the structure. So 4 and 5 for the third here, then the fourth here, and then we're looking for the fifth to come down here. So we'll look at the 420 there, anywhere down here, and a little bit tricky to, there would also be 5 waves in here, but a bit tricky to see that. But it would be something like down for 1, back for 2, down for 3, back for 4, and down for 5. But there could be errors within that as well because it's just messy and it's on low volume as well. So, but that's the general pattern. So we are looking for it to move up, but what we do want is we want to be able to move in from support. So the 772 here is important to me, and also the 48 here. So we need to confirm the situation here. Yeah, so we could be running with China if it finds if the lows are already in place, or it's got a bit more to move down, or we've still got the problem of the US. So even if, I mean, our correction started long before the US markets did, so we're more into them. So we should be leading out of them with the Shanghai market and Shenzhen and the Hang Seng and so forth. So we'll see how we go there. But it is going to be pulling on us here because remember that that the Dow Jones has not finished its correction of the S&P 500 here. So this is the actual. This is the S&P 1000, but the same thing as well. It's just starting its corrections. Yes, it's moved down, but it's only got for the A wave, we've got the B wave and the C wave to go. So when we look at this particular move down through here on those markets, if we have a look at the S&P 500, this is the S&P 500 here, and this would be the scenario here. So we're looking at 5 waves moving down through to here, and then we're looking at a B wave moving back up, and then a C wave down through here. So we will see that jump there, and that will help lift our markets tomorrow, but then we'll be facing this as well. So, you know, we need to be sort of careful and diligent about the situation. Yeah, and this would be the 5 waves coming down through here. So this would be the the wave 1 and the wave 2 to here. So the first wave to here. And the third wave is basically down for 1, back for 2, down for 3, back for 4, and then down for 5 here. That's the third wave. The fourth wave is the A, the B, and the C here, and this is the 5th wave down. So we'll see a B wave is always in 3 waves, so we should see an A hit supply levels here, sellers, B, and a C wave coming back up. So it normally pulls back up 61.8%, but we need to look at where the volume's actually sitting and the psychology of price and big numbers and so forth. But essentially A, B, and C there. They're very tricky ones to trade. This C wave that comes in here should be in 5 waves like this one here. So we can pretty much duplicate this situation here and put it over here. That's what we'd be looking at. So this will pull on our markets, and like I mentioned as well, we're not quite sure about the Chinese market, if they've got a little fourth wave and a fifth wave to go down as well. So we haven't got confirmation a low is in place just yet. So, but pretty simple though. On our local markets, we'll be looking at 4,800, so we're not going to miss anything, but we'll see the leaders come out of that. It's the same for the Dow Jones as well. So with the Dow here, basically what we're seeing here is the corrective pattern across the 12-8 there. 8 is the third strongest number, 1, 5, then 8. And 8's also a profit-taking number as well. So that's what we're seeing unfold through here. So we're seeing this correction unfold here. But once this correction is complete, then we'll see further upside to the markets there. Okay, some of the drivers here. The gold here, we're looking for its correction as well. It's getting a little bit sort of complicated, but stay with it. So these tops here is the top of a third wave here, fifth and third, and we're looking for an ABC correction. Fourth waves can get a bit complicated. The pullback was to the fourth wave of one lesser degree, which is this one here. This is 1500 here, the medium level, and this is subgroup 1, 10, 20, and 30. So we are hoping that will sit on there and move up from there, but this doesn't look like complete to me just yet. So we need to be careful, because it may not have, if it finds us, what happens here is that if it can find support on the 30 here on top of group 1, then it separates itself from the 1500 here. But I don't know if that's just done and dusted yet. The market can still pull this back to the 1500 here, especially if it comes under the center of group 1 there, under the 20. If that's the case, then it gets pulled back to the 1500. If that's the case, then we're going to see a much bigger correction unfold through here. So this 1520 and the 1530 here is really quite important for that to hold up there. So we'll see how we go, but just be aware that there is risk there. And this market, as you know, because it's coming down, it's obviously not working against the Dow Jones, is it? It's actually working with the indices, and that's what gold can do. It's affected by a handful of things, and this means that sometimes it's in harmony with the indices, and other times it can be doing the complete opposite. And it's just nice to know which markets it's in harmony with and working with. We're also seeing the US dollar index got support on 73, so while that's pushing up off 73, then this will be weaker here. Okay, the oil market. Okay, so we've been looking for a top in crude here, and well, there it is. It's starting, but from my point of view, a breaking through of, this is group 1 here, this is minor level 1 here, and this is subgroup group 1 here, 1, 2, and 3. And because it's moved through the center of that quite cleanly, then we can start to look at 5 waves down, and that's what we'll do here. We'll look at this as being down for 1, back for 2. We'll look at the third wave coming in here, see how fast it's moving in. So we'll get a bounce off the 110 there. There'll be orders sitting there, eventually run out of steam, create the wave 4 here in 3 waves or whatever, and then drop down through here. So that could give us wave 1 or the C wave here, but 5 waves down through here somewhere, and then a retest of 110. That's what we'll be looking at there. Sure, there'll be a smaller retest in here, but once we've got these 5 waves in place, we'll see a 3-wave counter trend to this point here, and that's what we'll be looking at there. The copper market, I have to say, as this particular structure down here has got me a little bit. I can't figure it out just yet. So one of the important things here, though, is the 425. That's our resistance, and our support is the 420 there. So a breakout between these two here is where the next larger trend's going to come from. In terms of this, though, I understand all the internal wave structures within all of this. It's just that this is pushing up too high here. See this structure here where it's got down here for either wave 1 or the A wave here. That's in 5 waves in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So this market coming back up through here and taking this high out here actually creates a positive market in terms of this move coming up through here. So it's going to be very important to should be on 30 on the 25 here. This is also the 50% retracement level from that top to this top here. So if you've been paying attention to this market, you know that the 425 has had a lot to do with this larger pattern all the way through here. So finding support back up here on the 425 is significant, and trade long from that point there. So really, just to keep it kind of simple, the 418, 420 is support. The 425 is the resistance here. Sure, resistance is also at the 430 there. That would also be the 61.8 retracement level of this move down through here. But because it's moved that far back up, it's created a lot of overlapping wave structures and makes this move down here quite corrective. The move coming up through here, all these are impulse waves, so it could be labelled as a really big bullish pattern going to the upside, or it can be construed as an ABC, which would be the A wave here, then a small A, B, and C for the B wave, and 5 waves up for the C wave to finish there, and that's the end of it. But this can continue to expand to the upside because these are all positive patterns in their upside structures there. So it's still, if it's going to be an upside structure, then it's going to go up a long way, because this would be up for 1, back for 2, then this one will be up for 1, back for 2, up for 1, back for 2. So it's a building process. So it could really move to the upside. So support on the 425, a nice support on the 425 is where you'd start building the next trade in, and then looking to add on the 430. So we'll look at that as that unfolds. But this does give a positive edge to our materials sector. However, BHP in the US was down. But that's flickering around the 100, and we sort of expect that. But it comes back to finding our low on the ASX 200, where we're fairly close to it. So seeing this push up here, which will govern the materials sector, be a positive side on that. So, okay, the Forex here. Before we start on the Forex, we can see this is the US dollar index, and we've got this wave count coming down here, giving us a 5th wave to this point here. We can see the support on here. This move that's here, this pattern here, is part of a corrective move. Yes, it can go higher, but once it's completed, it will resume its trend to the downside, and we'll see the euro and the Australian dollar and whatnot sort of push further up. But while this is above 73, then the euro would be on the bearish side of the fence there. So yeah. Okay, looking at the Australian dollar here. So our target to the upside was the 1110, which is the minor trading level, and we're seeing the reaction for that, and we're seeing a corrective pattern move down from that, and we'd look at support coming in around the 108 there, and the idea in trading this to the downside is pretty much to sell the rallies. So when we look at this on a 2-minute chart here, it's a little bit sort of, I know Elliot's a bit tricky, but the idea is to use the levels as support and resistance and trade off them, but looking for the rallies here. Try and look at 3-wave rallies coming back up into previous points here. So it's a bit like the next level here. So the 50 is the midpoint here. We can see that there's what have we got here? You got me into it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got a third wave here, and that would be the wave 1 there, wave 2, wave 3. So we'll see a wave 4 and wave 5 across here. So if the 40 here becomes support, then we'll see an ABC correction come back up here and retest the 50. If the 40 here becomes if the 4 becomes support, resistance, then you need to be short on that there. So yeah, so as a bit of an example here, say this was the 40 here. If the price moves through the 40, comes back up and retests it and fails and starts to move down there, then that's where you want to sell that from there. So look for each level of support or resistance. And pretty much the same with the euro as well. In terms with the euro, we've been looking at this moving up through here. We can see that the 148 is nice and support here. The top here would be like the 73 on the US dollar index. So while that 73 is in holding support there, then this resistance will be in play here, and a bit of a rock and a hard place here. So it's quite difficult to trade through here, I have to say, because not only with the 148, but you're also in the subgroup 1 here of 10, 20 and 30, and what that means is choppy price action here. So it's not a good place to trade through here. So better to look at another currency, maybe the euro, Australian dollar, which would be pushing to the upside on that and would run a bit smoother. Okay, well that's it really. Not a great change from yesterday in terms of looking at our local market. We are looking for support in all of that in terms of the XJO here. So we're just looking for this A, B and the C to finish here. So we're still looking for that low in here, and we need, even once we find it, we need confirmation. So we need to see some positive little wave structures going up, and that would mean little wave structures like that. If we get 5 waves moving up, then we would get a 3-wave counter trend like that. And because we got this 5 waves in a different direction, then we'll get another 5 here. It's a bit like having 5 waves here. This market's moving up through here. If we get 5 waves here, then we'll get another 5 waves here. It's the same as moving back up this way. If we get 5 here, then we'll get another 5 here, and then we'll be moving up. So we want to move off. We want to find that support. We want to see some internal smaller wave structures giving us the direction of the market, and then we can trade long on these markets. Sure, there is other markets in our section that are moving up, but the general consensus is that let's just wait for this to find support, and then we can move into it from that point. Alrighty, well, good morning and good luck.